One thing that's really awesome about visual storytelling is that you're not location based. You can go from somewhere that's small and intimate to something massive and epic. So whether you're making a folksy western or whether you've got an adventure climbing up Everest or even hiking to Mordor, sometimes it's good to open it up. So let's talk about mountains and let's talk about cliffs. So let's start at the beginning because that's a really good place to start. So finding your basic shape, it's a mountain. It's generally more triangular, but of course that's on a flat surface. So what we need to do first is we see where our peak is and we need to find a ridge line. And so we're essentially cutting it into a triangle, but we're fleshing out this mountain. And we need to know which area our light source is coming from because that's going to dictate the shadowed part of our mountain. Once you have your triangle shape, we soften it up. We're going to add natural lines as these two massive pieces of earth are pushing into each other and rising up as a mountain. And the next step is understanding your overlap. Mountains are never really isolated. They're going to be in a range. You're going to have a number of them, whether or not they are really condensed together or whether they're going to be separated by larger valleys. You're still going to have some overlap, and that's also going to help you with the atmospheric depth that you really want with mountains, which generally are going to be pretty far in the background. Which, speaking of them being in the background, make sure that as you render and you add your details of just the pits and the ridges, make sure that they're light, because this is far in the distance, and the more lines you add, the more prominent it's going to become, the closer in the foreground it's going to be. So if you're drawing snow caps, so if you have a snow-covered mountain, we're just going to do the same thing. This is just a matter of changing up your rendering style, and it's understanding first and foremost where our ridges and all of the different peaks and valleys that are going to come away from those ridges, and then simply laying the snow on top. So allow your snow to emphasize your contour, and really whenever you're rendering, make sure that you keep it a little bit lighter where the snow is, but ultimately it's going to follow the same principles as just the mountain itself. Now moving on to cliffs or plateaus or buttes, whatever. This is just going to be a chopped up mountain. So we'll take our peak and we'll just chop it right off. So what you do need to remember is that it's still going to have all of those ridges and those contours. And it's important to remember that because whenever it comes to cliffs or plateaus or whatever, you're generally going to be a lot closer. So there's going to be details that we're going to see a lot more prominent than if we were to look at mountains. So remember that, because as you do your rendering up and down of your ridges, you have ridges that go side to side known as strata. So you can add those to add some more depth, some more shadow, and some more texture to your cliffs, etc. So whenever you want to draw a series of cliffs or plateaus together, just start with our basic shapes. It's always the best place to start. And as you fill out your basic shapes, remember that lighting is going to do so much more of your heavy lifting. So make sure that your shadows are prominent, and don't add too much detail because again, you don't want this to be too busy because these are background elements. Now, if you have a grassy top, the number one thing to remember is there's overhang. There's that overhang of any sort of vegetation that's going to be on the top of your plateau or your cliff or your butte or whatever. Make sure you have that cast shadow and make sure that you vary up the grass rendering on top as well. So thank you guys for watching. Go check out my school for more art hack guides and get to drawing. Open up your landscape and have fun. Thanks, everybody.